What up, Homedawgs? My name is Gokey Gamer, and welcome everybody to week 5 of the SPDA, where this week we're going to be taking on DatBoiKeith and the Chirac Cup Chews. I hope I'm saying that right. Now, if you're looking at this, you're probably wondering, why the heck is it looking like this? Why am I playing from the thing? Why does it say broken down in the bottom left corner? Long story short, I recorded 8 games, a whopping 8 games this week, and randomly 3 out of the 8 games have had audio difficulties. 2 of them will be going up this week, 1 of them will be going up next week. I had to do a lot of battles in advance, so I did a lot of battles a week early because I'm going to be out of town this week, and so like by the time you're seeing this, I am still out of town, so that's why I had to do some battles early, and yeah. So yes, unfortunately, I will be doing a post commentary for this video. I will also be doing it for MBBL week 2, and I will also be doing it for the SDA, I should say, SDA week 2, or week 1. It'll be week 1, which I believe actually by this point you've already seen. So, it is what it is. I am really sorry, but we just gotta do what we gotta do, am I right? So, without any further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and pop the teams up here. Plop! Now, you might be wondering why there are 2 versions of this team, both significantly different from each other. And the reason being is the one on the left is the one that I prepared for, and the one on the right is the one my opponent actually had. Now, if you're wondering why this happened, long story short, I usually like to build teams like a week early at least, just so that way I don't have to stress about it during the week, because I'm really busy during the week most of the time, and it just makes my life a lot easier, especially this week in particular when I had 8 games. Normally, I'm also very good about checking after the week officially starts to make sure that there weren't any trades made while I was team prepping and things like that. And this week, I unfortunately did not do that, and it really bit me. Both of these teams are very different. I would have prepped for these teams very differently. Unfortunately, the team on the right is what comes, and I prepped for the team on the left. There's nothing much I can do about it. It's 100% my fault. It just is what it is. I don't have notifications turned on Discord, so I don't notice these things. Or if I, like, sometimes I'll get notified, like, if they at the coaches, but then I'm like, okay, like, briefly look through it, okay, it's fine, you know, kind of thing, and I just didn't do that this time. So that's on me. It's on me completely, but again, this does affect a lot of how I play in this game, so keep that in mind. But yeah, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty, so we head into the game and we immediately see a lot of Pokemon that I don't recognize. 4 out of 6 of these Pokemon are Pokemon that I was not expecting because of the whole team debacle. So, during the actual thing, I was like, what the heck is going on, you know, kind of thing, and I think I would check the doc, and then realize my mistake, and be like, well, this is unfortunate. Again, it's completely my fault, there's not much I can do about it. I think here, I can't remember who I'd lead off with, but, I think, I'm gonna go ahead and skip forward. I can't remember who I lead off with. I led off with Ogerpon, so that makes sense. I do want to just see the card, though, again, because I can't remember if this was a creative card or not. Let's see, play please, that'd be great. Thank you. Perfect, thank you. But anyways, I also apologize, this is not going to be a heavily edited video. Oh yeah, it was the Arceus butt, that's right, I remember now. But yeah, this is not going to be a heavily edited video because I just don't have the time for it. We do see Overquill as the lead, which is very unfortunate into my lead, Ogerpon. Something to keep in mind as well, a lot of these Pokemon are very strong on the physical side, can be like great physical walls. And 2 of my special attackers, being Thundurus and Greninja, are both physical this week because of the team prep that I had made. So again, I'm once again being pretty fricked over considerably right now by my own mistakes. So it is what it is. Here I swap it to Petrarun just because it's my only chance really to wall this thing. I'm expecting possibly spikes or something like that. That's the other thing as well. I don't have hazard removal this week because I wasn't expecting this team. And we do see spikes, which is going to be a real pain in my butt during this entire game. So I'm going to go ahead and skip forward a little bit. We do see another spikes that my opponent sets up here. So that's 2 layers of spikes, as I believe I went for a curse. Because, yeah, curse, that makes sense. It's like the one way I can reliably put this thing down. I'm half expecting to just straight up be punished by more like 3 layers of spikes immediately, which is not fun. Here I do opt to go for a recover, I do believe. as my opponent does end up switching out into Hippowdon. Yes, so after this, my opponent switches into Hippowdon. I recover with Petron. I'm also speeding through this a little bit just because that way I can get to work and do things, and I also need to make sure that I'm able to hopefully render this out as soon as possible. So I'm just going to try to keep talking again. I'm really sorry for this kind of, quite frankly, sloppy video, but again, I needed my audio, and I don't have my audio, and I need to get this done because I don't even know if I'll be able to edit this week. So, because of long story with my laptop and stuff like that. So I end up switching into Thunderous, hoping for an Earthquake, and they do just go for Rocks. So there's currently Rocks and 2 layers of Spikes. And so Thundy is up here, just kind of crying to himself. This is a very unfortunate situation. I think what I do here is I just click Knock to get rid of the leftovers that this thing has, and as I do, my opponent goes for a Roar. They go for a Roar, and I'm immediately seeing what type of game this is. Again, completely brutal on my end, because this was the opposite of what I prepped for, basically. It is what it is, but we're just gonna make do with it what we can. We do get Glaceon, though, which is a very, very good situation for me. And here, I'm just going to go ahead and click my Terra Ground, just because I'm expecting possibly a Roar again, or something like that. And I'm thinking about here either clicking Terra Blast on a switch, I'm thinking about clicking Freeze Dry to get a water type on the switch in. There's a lot of things that I can do here. I'm thinking about Terra Blast for King Gambit, I'm thinking about Freeze Dry for Rotom Wash, I'm thinking about Ice Beam just for this thing, and also it'll give me intel. At this point, I do think this is a physical set. By this point, this is what's in my mind right now. I'm not saying it is, this is just what's in my mind. So that is something to keep in mind. I think here I opt to go for a Freeze Dry if I remember correct. So we do see the Terra Ground Glaceon here doing its dadgum thing, and we are going to see an Ice Beam. I actually did straight up click Ice Beam for the possible one-shot. Unfortunately, Hippowdon does live considerably and goes for another Roar. This is very, very unfortunate for ya boy. Hippowdon still being alive is very, very rough. Here the switch in is going to be none other than Ting Lu, which is honestly okay, because now I'm like, okay, I can get my own hazards up now, because I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, I do have Rocks, and I might have Spikes as well, I don't remember. I do have Spikes, because the one benefit is, on this team, is the fact that my opponent does not have hazard removal either. And we do see Hippowdon go for a Slack Off, which on paper is very annoying. However, this is still a great situation for me, because now I'm getting my hazards up. I would have liked to get my hazards up a lot sooner, but at the very least, this is heavily forcing hazards, and the Sandstorm subsides as well. So here I'm just going to go for a Spikes, just because I can and I want to for free. My opponent's either going to have to switch out, or they're going to have to Roar again, which basically gives me a free layer of Spikes, and we see my opponent ended up clicking for Roar due to the negative priority of Roar, so I'm going to go ahead and see what Pokemon I get swapped into. It was Ogerpon. So Ogerpon, as you can tell, takes a crap ton of chip, going from basically full HP to 177. That is absolutely insane. Hazards are very powerful. Had the 3rd layer of Spikes gone up, Ogerpon would be at half HP. Think about that. It's crazy. So we do see the swap here. I do wish I had the Horn Leech. I don't even know if I do have Power Whip. I do wish I had Horn Leech. We see Talonflame come in, which is a very unfortunate thing to see, because that means that Power Whip does diddly squat. I don't do any calcs here to see what type of thing this is. However, I do end up switching into Ting Lu to see, hope and pray that this is a physical set with like Flare Blitz Brave Bird, because that will get heavily punished by Rocky Helmet Ting Lu. So we send in Ting Lu. Also, I don't have my nicknames for some reason. I also apologize for that. I don't know why. There were so many technical difficulties with this battle, dude. There was so much insanity with this whole thing, and it's very unfortunate, but it is what it is. We are going to see, thankfully, a Flare Blitz, so we are going to get a lot of chip off on this thing right here with the recoil and the Rocky Helmet. And I think here, if I remember correctly, my opponent ends up sending in Hippowdon, and I get a 2nd layer of Spikes up, which is very valuable. We also now know that the Talonflame is, in fact, heavy-duty boots as well, because it didn't take any rocks damage, so that makes sense. I'm getting my 3rd layer of Spikes up here because there's zero reason for me not to, so now my opponent is very much hazard stacked, and it's going to be coming down to trying to force switches and things like that, which is not the best situation to be put in, obviously, but it is what it is. For a second I thought I wasn't recording, and I was very scared. Not recording my audio, I should say, and I was going to cry. But, we do get our 3rd layer of Spikes up, and here I think I just go for Slow Chip with either Body Press or Throat Chop. I don't think I swap here because I'm expecting a Roar, so I think I just go for a Throat Chop. Yep, I do go for a Throat Chop, and we do see that my opponent is going to be going for another roar because I do have the negative priority. Oh, and throw chop prevents that. Oh, wait a minute. Oh my god, I actually just realized that. That is so funny. I thought that I had prevented a slack off, and I completely forgot that, wow, I literally should have gone for body press there. Wow, that was very unfortunate. That was very, very unfortunate. I did not realize that that's what I prevented. Wow, that is insane. You learn something new every day, guys. You learn something new every day. Holy crap, that is wild. At this point, though, the good news is I do realize that this Hippowdon cannot hit me if I am a Thundurus, so I just swap into Thundurus here, and we do see another slack off. So, it is what it is. I just realized that. Wow, I really threw with that. Well, anyways, here I'm just going to go for I think I either go for a knockoff or a bulk up, knowing that this thing can't deal any damage to me. I just click knockoff here to possibly see a swap, to possibly let this thing roar me out. Let's see, we do just see a roar here, so Thundy is going to be roared out. My opponent also knows by this point that I am heavy duty boots as well, so that is good to note. And we are going to see come back in Ogerpon. This is a Pokemon I did not want to see come back in here because now Ogerpon is basically forced to stay in until it dies. And this gives Talonflame a very free swap, which is very unfortunate. So here I think this time I go for a knockoff, predicting the Talonflame switch in. Yes, that is exactly what I do, and my opponent very freely swaps into Talonflame. I remember this now. Talonflame does take a massive chip and also loses heavy duty boots, and now Talonflame can't switch out either, which is good. Here I actually decide to go into Ting Lu, just because of the Rocky Helmet chip possibilities, and also to get, like, this thing will die to Rocky Helmet, basically, is my goal. So I swap out Ogerpon, I go into Ting Lu, and long story short, Talonflame does end up going for either a Flare Blitz or a Brave Bird, and while I do live on 9 HP, thankfully, Talonflame goes for the Brave Bird, which does knock out Ting Lu. Oh no, it's U-turn actually, never mind, it's U-turn. But the Rocky Helmet chip, like, basically takes it out, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Rocky Helmet takes it out. So, Ting Lu picks up a kill with the Rocky Helmet, and Ting Lu dies as Talonflame dies. Not the worst case scenario, but definitely not great, because Ogerpon can't come back in now. So Ogerpon is basically a sack at this point, which is why I end up switching into Ogerpon, so that way I can see what my opponent wants to switch in. And we see it's Rotom Wash. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm gonna send in my own Ogerpon. There we go. Ogerpon then dies to spikes and hazards. So rest in peace, Ogerpon. But at the very least, now we get the momentum advantage because of the fact that we sent in this thing, and we also see that Rotom does take Stealth Rock's chip as well, which is very valuable. Here, I think what I do is I go into Glaceon, I want to say? No, I go into Pecharunt. I go into Pecharunt here because Pecharunt is a especially bulky variant this week, which is honestly a pretty good bring. And here I debate about what move I want to go for here. I think eventually I do go for a Curse, which is a, yes, I do go for a Curse here, because I outspeed, which I did not realize. That was very much a throw on my end, because this happens. Yep. I very much threw that away. I think what I should have done here is I should have clicked Malignant Chain or Recover. I should have clicked Malignant Chain or Recover here. This was very much a throw on my end. I absolutely made a major mistake here. Because again, I think it might have been 5 Pokemon. I think the only Pokemon that I knew was a possibility was King Gambit. I think that's the only Pokemon that showed up that was like, I can't remember. No, Rotom was on the original team. But, again, that was just a major throw on my end. I should have gone for a Malignant Chain there every single time. And it sucks that I didn't, because that was very much a throw. So, especially because I literally had a little bit of speed investment in Pecharunt. But it is what it is. We see Hippowdon switch in on the field, and now I have to debate whether I want to go into Greninja, where I don't even have a Water-type attack, because it didn't look good into my other matchup that I prepped for, or do I go into Glaceon and click Ice Beam? And I end up going to Glaceon and click Ice Beam, I believe, if I remember correctly. So we are going to see here in a second what I end up doing. I end up dying to an Earthquake, that's what I do. Oh, because I'm like, oh, Freeze Dry will KO this thing, right? And it doesn't. And I think that was a roll, too. I do think that was a roll. So we get hit with an Earthquake, which is a very unfortunate situation to be put in, but at the very least, this forces this thing to either switch out or die to an incoming attack from something else. So I'm like, okay, switch into Thundy here. Oh wait, no. Do I switch into Thundy? No, I switch into Greninja, actually. I switch into Greninja just to guarantee that I pick up the KO, because I don't know how bulky this thing is. And I do go for a low kick, which does pick up the KO on this thing, thankfully, but this just gives Rotom a very free switch in because Rotom is a very light boy. And Rotom is able to pick up the KO because they land a Hydro Pump, we barely do anything with low kick, and they do get a crit, which I don't think mattered. I think Greninja just died there anyways, which is very sad. Rotom gets buffeted by the Sandstorm, so now I just have to go into Thundurus, I have to, at this point, hope they miss a Hydro Pump. That is what I have to do here. I have to hope that they miss a Hydro Pump, and I have to go for bulk up shenanigans. It sucks, it is what it is, but this is my @1 win con. So I go for the bulk up, and we outspeed, and then we see that they do land their first Hydro Pump, which is very unfortunate. And at this point, it's pretty much guaranteed that I will lose this game. I just have to hope that I can pick up the KO with a Supercell Slam. It's a roll at this point, it depends on the set as well. And so I fire off my Supercell Slam, and Rotom lives. Once again, a roll. I'm pretty sure that my opponent ended up living there. And I think that was also a roll as well. So Thundurus goes down. I think both of those were rolls that we needed to go in our favor. So we lose this game 0-4. This was a very unfortunate game for me. I was very crushed after this. Again, it's completely my fault that it ended up happening this way. No blame to my opponent at all whatsoever. It just is what it is, man. Sometimes these things happen and you can't really control it. I could have prevented this. I could have prevented this if I had double-checked my sets, if I had double-checked my opponent's team, and I didn't do that. I didn't think to do that. It is what it is. It's my fault completely, and I take full responsibility for it. But, this is still a good game, and obviously there were still a lot of things, even in the game, that I heavily threw. The Petron being a major throw. The Petron there was probably the biggest play in the entire game that I threw away, because Petron could have had the chance to really put in a decent amount of work, just constantly setting up curses, forcing switches, and setting up recovers and protects. So I think there is a world where Petron could have at least picked up 1 or 2 more KOs. I think I would have won, probably not. There was a King Gambit there that I really just honestly couldn't beat that reliably, but it is what it is, and yeah, you live and you learn. So we're currently 3-2, which is very unfortunate. I do know the results of my Week 6 game, but I'm not going to spoil it here. It is a very good game, though, so I highly encourage you guys to check it out when it comes out next week. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Peace out, mates!